On my birthday, my parents took my heirloom necklace and gave it to my sister-in-law. My mom smiled. She deserves it more. But when an appraiser exposed a secret that left my parents speechless, they knew they had lost everything. Growing up, they were less about celebrating me and more about what my family could do to outshine me. If I got a dress, my brother Devin got a whole new wardrobe. If I got a book, he got a laptop. If I had a small gathering with friends, my parents would suddenly decide to take Devin on a weekend trip somewhere he deserved. It was never said out loud, but it was understood Devin mattered more. Still, I played along every year, hoping for once, just once, I'd be treated like I was just as important. That hope was shattered on my 30th birthday. I was sitting at my parents' long wooden dining table in their Charleston home, watching as my mom set down a cake she hadn't even let me pick out. It was lemon. I hate lemon. The whole family was there, Dad, looking half distracted as he scrolled through his phone. My mother, Donna, already fussing over my brother, and Devin himself, sitting smugly at the table, his arm draped around his wife, Brielle. I didn't hate Brielle exactly, but if there was ever a person built to fit seamlessly into my family's favoritism, it was her. She was blonde, elegant, and soft-spoken. The kind of woman my mother always wished I had turned out to be. She and Devin had been married for 2 years, and in those 2 years, my mother had practically worshipped the ground she walked on. Mom was always finding ways to praise her. Look how poised Brielle is. Isn't Brielle just a picture of grace? She takes such good care of Devin, as if my entire purpose in life should have been to serve my brother the way Brielle did. I try to focus on the fact that at least they remember my birthday. That was a low bar, but in my family, even that wasn't guaranteed. I unwrapped a couple of presents, things that felt like afterthoughts. A candle, a scarf that still had the clearance tag on it. And then Mom smiled, the way she did when she was about to do something she thought was grand. "We have one more surprise," she said, her voice light and cheerful. Dad reached into his pocket, pulling out a small, velvet jewelry box. My breath hitched. I knew that box. That deep burgundy velvet held something precious, my grandmother's antique diamond necklace. The one she had promised to me since I was a little girl. For years, I had dreamed of the day it would finally be mine. It had been in our family for generations, passed down from eldest daughter to eldest daughter. My grandmother used to let me try it on when I was a child, always saying, "One day, this will be yours." And now, here was on my birthday. In my father's hands. Maybe, just maybe, they were finally doing something right. Mom opened the box, revealing the familiar glimmer of the necklace. The delicate gold chain, the intricate setting of the diamonds. It was more than just a piece of jewelry. It was the only thing that had ever truly felt mine. I reached for it, and then Mom turned to Brielle and handed it to her. Brielle gasped, bringing a hand to her chest. "Oh my God, is this for me?" I froze. The world around me dimmed, my ears ringing. This had to be a joke, a mistake. But Mom smiled warmly. "Of course, sweetheart. You deserve it." Something inside me cracked. "What?" Mom turned to me, her expression perfectly calm, as if she hadn't just robbed me. "Sweetheart, it just makes sense. Brielle is married. She's going to have children one day. The necklace belongs with the real future of our family." I heard the words. I understood them, but I couldn't believe them. I swallowed, my voice shaking. "She's not even blood related." Mom gave me that condescending look, the one she had perfected over years of making me feel less than. "It's about who deserves it. Heirlooms go to the women who represent our family's future." And, well, she tilted her head slightly. "You're still figuring things out, aren't you?" Still figuring things out. Because I wasn't married. Because I didn't have kids. Because I wasn't Brielle. I looked at my dad, expecting him to say something. But he just sipped his coffee, completely indifferent. Devin smirked, shaking his head. "Come on, don't make a big deal. It's just a necklace. Just a necklace. Just the only thing my grandmother had promised to me." Brielle, sitting there with that soft, faux sympathetic smile, held up the necklace to admire it. "Oh, I love vintage jewelry," she said, her voice dripping with delight. "And to think, this has been in the family for generations. It's so special." She knew. She had definitely known. My hands clenched in a fist beneath the table. My chest felt tight, suffocating. For years, I had let them push me aside. For years, I had swallowed every unfair decision, every dismissal, every time they made it clear that Devin came first. But this was different. This was mine. And they had given it away like I was nothing. Mom beamed. "Doesn't it look perfect on her?" I didn't say a word. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, my stomach churning, my hands shaking. Something dark and furious simmered inside me. Fine. If they thought I wasn't important enough for the necklace, then I would prove to them just how big of a mistake they had made. And as fate would have it, I wouldn't have to wait long. Because that necklace, that precious family heirloom, it wasn't what they thought it was. Not even close. I barely remember the rest of that night. I must have gone through the motions, ate a slice of the lemon cake I despised, forced a tight smile when my parents kept gushing over how wonderful Brielle looked wearing my necklace, and sat through dinner while Devin cracked jokes that no one but him found funny. At some point, I stood up, mumbled something about an early morning at work, and left. No one stopped me. No one even noticed. The moment I got home, I slammed the door behind me and threw my purse onto the couch. My entire body was shaking with rage. I had expected favoritism. I had always expected it. But this wasn't favoritism. This was theft. And they didn't even think they had done anything wrong. I paced my small apartment, my mind spinning. My grandmother had promised me that necklace. She had let me try it on when I was a little girl, laughing as I twirled around, the diamonds catching the light. Dash one day, this will be yours, sweetheart, she had always said. But it wasn't mine, because my mother decided Brielle was better. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, and I nearly ignored it. But when I saw my best friend Lacey's name, I picked up immediately. She didn't even say hello. So how bad was it? I sighed, rubbing my temples. On a scale from mildly disappointing to full-blown betrayal, somewhere around, I hope they choke on their food, Lacey groaned. What do they do this time? I flopped onto the couch. They gave my grandmother's heirloom necklace to Brielle. Silence. Then they what? They gave it to her. Just handed it over. Like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. Lacey made a noise that was somewhere between a growl and a strangled scream. Oh, I hate them. Yeah, same. She had to have known they were going to do that, Lacey fumed. She probably played the perfect little angel, acting like she was so surprised. Oh, she did. My voice dripped with bitterness. Hand on her chest, gasping. Oh my God, is this for me? Like she didn't already know. I swear to God, if murder wasn't illegal. I snorted, but my anger didn't fade. It only burned hotter. Lacey sighed heavily. I know I always say this, but why do you still talk to them? I swallowed, staring up at the ceiling. I didn't have an answer. Maybe because they were my family, and no matter how much I should walk away, some stubborn, desperate part of me kept hoping they'd change. Or maybe because I needed them to finally see me as more than just a footnote in Devin's life. But this wasn't something I could ignore. I clenched my jaw. You know what? They can screw me over all they want. But this was mine, and they stole it. Lacey was quiet for a moment, then asked, did they ever get it appraised? That threw me. What? The necklace, she said. It's what? Over 100 years old? Have they ever gotten it properly appraised? I blinked. My grandmother never did. She always said the sentimental value was worth more than money, Lacey hummed. So, what if it's not even real? I sat up straight. What? I mean, think about it. It's been in the family for generations. No one's checked to see if it's legit. What if it's just a really fancy fake? I stared at the wall, my mind racing. No way. My grandmother wouldn't have treasured something fake, right? But what if it was? A slow, delicious thought crept into my mind. If that necklace was a fraud, then my parents had just given Brielle a worthless piece of jewelry, thinking they were punishing me. And that would be poetic justice. I grinned. Lacey, you are evil. And I love it, she cackled. I do my best. The next morning, I called Devin. He answered on the third ring, sounding half asleep. What? I didn't even bother with pleasantries. You should get the necklace insured. A pause. Then a groggy, The heirloom. It's old. Really old. If anything happened to it, it'd be a huge loss, right? Devin groaned. Ugh, do we have to? Brielle's already worn out like twice. I bit my tongue so I wouldn't scream. Yes, you have to. It's an heirloom. If you lose it, Mom and Dad will lose their minds. That did it. Within the hour, he and Brielle were at an appraiser's office downtown. And 2 hours later, my phone exploded with frantic calls from my mother. I let her call 3 times before I picked up, just to make her sweat. I barely had time to say hello before she shrieked. What did you do? I smirked. What's wrong, Mom? Her voice shook with panic. The appraiser, he said. The necklace isn't real. I leaned back against my couch, savoring every second of this. What? The diamonds are glass. The gold is plated. It's worthless. I grinned. Oh, this was better than I could have imagined. Wow, I said, keeping my voice innocent. Looks like you gave Brielle exactly what she deserved. Mom let out a strangled gasp. This isn't funny. How dare you? I hung up. I sat there for a long moment, just breathing. The necklace wasn't real. My parents had given away a fake, believing they were punishing me when, in reality, they had only humiliated themselves. And the best part? They had no one to blame but themselves. But I wasn't done yet. Not even close. If my family wanted to play games, then I was about to win. I didn't hear from my parents for a full day after I hung up on my mother. I figured they were too busy reeling from the embarrassment, scrambling to figure out how the HLL they had just handed a worthless piece of jewelry to their golden daughter-in-law. I imagine the look on Brielle's face when she found out she had been flaunting a glorified piece of costume jewelry around town like she was some kind of royalty. The thought kept me smiling all day. But I wasn't done yet. See, if this had been any other injustice, any other time my parents had made it clear I was second place, I probably would have let it go. I would have swallowed my anger like I always did and moved on. But this time, they had taken my heirloom. They had smiled as they gave it to Brielle, as if I was nothing, and I wasn't about to let them get away with it. So, I did what any reasonable person in my position would do. I started digging. I spent the next few days doing research. If the necklace was fake, where was the real one? There was only one person left who might have some answers. My great-aunt Margaret. She was my grandmother's younger sister, and unlike my mother, she had never treated me like an afterthought. She had always been kind, always had a sharp sense of humor, and, most importantly, she hated my mother. So I gave her a call. The moment she answered, I got straight to the point. Aunt Margaret, do you know what happened to Grandma's real necklace? There was a long silence. Then a sharp inhale. Oh dear, she said, her voice laced with something I couldn't quite place. I always wondered when you'd ask. That set my heart racing. What do you mean? She sighed. Your grandfather sold it. Back in the 70s. He ran into some financial trouble. He had a replica made so your grandmother wouldn't find out. I blinked. So she never knew it was fake. No, she never had a reason to doubt it. And when she passed, your mother inherited it. None the wiser. Margaret chuckled dryly. Oh, Donna must be livid now. I smirked. Oh, she is. But, do you know who Grandpa sold it to? Margaret hesitated. Then, yes, he sold it to a private collector. But a few years ago, that collector passed away and his estate went up for auction. She hummed. I remember hearing that a jeweler in Savannah bought a large portion of his collection. If I had to guess, that's where you'll find it. Savannah was only 2 hours away, and I suddenly had very clear weekend plans. I made the drive early the next morning. The jewelry shop Margaret mentioned was tucked away in the historic district, a small, elegant boutique with antiques lining the glass cases. The owner, an older gentleman with a neatly trimmed beard, greeted me warmly. When I explained why I was there, his expression shifted into something close to amusement. Well, you're in luck, he said. That necklace has been sitting in my collection for years, and then he brought it out. It was stunning, even more beautiful than I remembered. The diamonds caught the light in a way the fake never had, and the gold had an unmistakable weight to it. This belonged to my grandmother, I said, breathless. The jeweler nodded. Would you like to buy it back? It wasn't cheap, but I had been saving for years, for a house, for future security, for the one day I might finally get out from under my family's shadow. And this was worth every penny. I waited a week before I made my move. I wanted to give them time to stew, to panic over the fact that they had given Brielle a worthless trinket. Then, when I knew they'd be together for Sunday dinner, I walked into my parents' house wearing the real necklace. The moment I stepped into the dining room, conversation died. Mom went pale. Brielle's jaw dropped. Devin's fork clattered against his plate. I smiled sweetly. Oh, sorry, am I interrupting something? Mom's voice was strangled. Where did you get that? I feigned innocence, tilting my head. Oh, this? The real family heirloom? Turns out, Grandpa sold it decades ago. I tracked it down. Brielle looked like she was going to be sick. But my necklace, I let out a mock gasp. Oh, you mean the fake one? The one with the glass stones? I clicked my tongue. Yeah, turns out, that's worth about $50. Dad cleared his throat, looking as uncomfortable as I had ever seen him. Now let's not, I cut in still smiling. I just think it's funny. You gave away my inheritance, thinking you were punishing me. But all you really did was embarrass yourselves. Mom opened and closed her mouth, her eyes darting between me and the necklace like she was trying to process how badly she had screwed up. I gave him a slow, satisfied look. Then, with deliberate ease, I adjusted the necklace, letting the diamonds glint under the chandelier. Well, I said, my tone light and airy. This has been so much fun. But I really should be going. You know, real family heirlooms require proper care. And with that, I turned and walked out. They tried to reach out, of course. Mom called, demanding I do the right thing and keep the necklace in the family. I ignored her. Devin sent me a text. You're being petty. It's just a necklace. I responded, then why do you care so much? Brielle? She stayed quiet, probably too humiliated to admit she had been strutting around town in a worthless fake. And me? For the first time in years, I felt free. I didn't just get my necklace back. I got proof that no matter how hard they tried to push me aside, I mattered. And they lost everything. And that was the sweetest revenge of all.